All right, and welcome to another Sparx EA learning session. Today we're going to talk about checklists, both generic checklists, just plain vanilla checklists, and then audited checklists would come with an audit log and a lot of cool stuff. So let's get started. So we have checklists in almost everything we do, all right? So if you're flying in a plane, we certainly hope that the pilot is going through a checklist to ensure that everything is done correctly before they take off, before they land, right? Like check that the landing gear is down, right? So in software engineering, checklists are extremely important when it comes to governance. So just the guidelines that we need to follow to ensure that we're all doing the right things and doing them in the right order and accomplishing the things that we need to do. All right. So checklists are very important. So I'm going to make a longer video to go through this in more detail, but I want to keep this as short as possible. So I'll eventually put the link to that video. I'm not sure whether the long version's coming out before the short version, but I will link them together. All right. So let's go into project management, and we can see blank checklist templates. Let's right click in here. Let's find in the browser. So it's very important when you're creating your templates that you have a place to store them if they are reusable. All right. So when we go into each one of the templates, you can see that there's some sort of explanation over here in notes for each one of the templates. Why use the template? In this particular case, this is a new one, hasn't been described yet. Kickoff meetings just explains what the kickoff meetings are and gives an idea of what needs to take place. So in your blank template repository, you do not want to use these. You want to copy these. So let's just grab one like the daily. We want to copy this, and then we want to go to a place where we want to paste it. Right? So this is locked right now. I am going to unlock it so that I'm able to put an element in here, and I'm going to hit Control, Shift, and V to paste as new, right? So now I have this checklist in here on the main cover page that the daily tasks are being properly done, and that every stakeholder that lands on this landing page can understand where we are in the tasks by the project manager in this case throughout the project delivery. So we're over in the project management landing page. This is their cover page for everything that they are managing and doing, right? And our project manager is logged in and is going to go down here and says, you know what, I'm having trouble keeping up with everything. I'm going to go down to governance, and you see I have two choices, and we're going to talk about both of them. You've got a generic checklist and you have an audited checklist. Let's just start with a generic, plain vanilla checklist, and we're going to drag this over here. Let's put it right here for now, give it a little bit of a size, something like that. And now we have a blank checklist. We can hit Function key 2, and we can give this a name. We're going to call it Daily PM Task, all caps, something like that, all right? And now we're going to start to add in checklist items. You can see it's blank. Now this dialog box has the display type. You can go certainly with nothing. You can go with checkboxes, bullets, and numbers. We're going to start with the default checkboxes. Check style, you've got strikeout and grade. We're going to leave none, the default. Spacing, that's the space between the items. We're going to leave it at default 1, all right? And let's start adding in some items. All right, so the first item that the project manager is going to put in here is check progress, something like that. And you can put in a time like AM in the morning or what have you, anything that you want. Keep it as short as possible. The next one is check discussions, check collaboration, right? And they want to do that in the morning, probably want to do that again throughout the day. They might have noon, PM, all right? So the next one is going to be check issues. So you've got an issues log. We want to definitely start that one in the morning. Probably want to do it again in the end of the day to prepare for the next day's work, all right? So the next item is schedule calls, right? Any calls. And we want to do that in the PM. Schedule the calls for the next day. Certainly could be the morning, could be noon, what have you, right? So what we want to do is we want to update the schedule. Now, throughout the day from the morning to the afternoon, I want to do this every day at least at noon, right? And then the last one, not necessarily the last one, is end of day baselines, right? Baseline, baselines, and then it's redundant, but I'm putting end of day. You could just say baseline, end of day. You could say baseline project, baseline entire project, but something like that. Let's go ahead and hit close. And there we go. We've created a generic plain checklist. I put it on the project management page. I certainly could put that in the main page so everyone sees it. But right now I'm just going to leave it in the project manager page. So let's select it. Let's go over to properties. So we can see that this is a check. The type is checklist. The stereotype is generic checklist. And if I want to change this to an audited checklist, I could certainly go into stereotypes and stereotype this as an audited checklist. Just make sure you're turning off the regular checklist, right? And now this is an audited checklist. So what's the difference between a generic checklist and an audited checklist? If I right click in here, I get an audit log. Right now, nothing's been done. It's blank. But if I go in here and let's just check the first one. Now I go into the audit log. What it's done is it went, oh, okay, this is audited. I've added everything. The first one is checked. That was the first action that took place. Everything else is unchecked, right? Go ahead and close, right? So now I've started a checklist and I can go through the day and I can check things. And when I'm completely done at the end of the day and I've done what's necessary, I get a big green check mark. Let's look at the audit log again. Here we go. We can see that all of these were checked. It removed these other items and cleaned up. And you have an audit log, right? So that's the benefit of an audit log. I can come in here the next day, clear the checklist, go to the audit log, view the audit log, and you can see this date and time the checklist was cleared. And then it's just rinse and repeat. As I'm going through the day, I'm doing things, I can check the audit, view the audit log, and I can see what's been added as checked or unchecked. You can see it's cleaned up and removed things as it's made the change. Very clear audit log. All right. With audit logs, and if I was the project manager, I would do this daily or weekly, you can export. So I can export. I'm going to go ahead and step on this comma separated version file, right? CSV file, right? I'm going to go ahead and step on this one, replace it for this purpose. Then I can open it in whatever application you're using for your comma separated files, your flat files. And now I've got a flat file copy of the audit at a particular date and time. And the convention that I used literally put the date and time, but I have right here, right? So I have some dates at the things that are taking place. So I have an understanding, right? So you're allowed to export. That's one of the benefits of doing an audited file, all right? So let's get back over here. Let's close this. We want to convert this back to a generic. So I'm going to go here. You see view audit log is with the audited checklist. Let's go to stereotype. Let's check off audited and then check checklist. Hit OK. And now it's just generic checklist and I don't have the auditing capabilities. All right. Now, if I want to copy this and reuse it and share it with other project managers, I can go down to my document repository where I have checklist, available checklist, project management, and I can bring that as new, completely new here for others to reuse. And if I'm reusing it, I simply select it, Alt-G, find it over here, go to where I want to reuse it, and I can copy it in there. So I can go here, Control-C, go here, Control-Shift-V, and now I have this checklist with its own global unique ID available for use. All right, so that's a brief overview of what checklists are, both generic and audited. We can use these anywhere that we want. I recommend that you create a document repository, that you create a separate namespace for available checklists, just like with legends, available legends for reuse, and that others, and I would categorize them by stakeholder or usage, others can come in here, grab these, copy them, paste them as new because they're templates. You do not want to step on your templates over to whatever the destination is. So I hope this was helpful. And until the next episode, happy modeling.